Welcome back to Mindfully Amplified, where every episode is a journey of personal growth and cultural exploration, mindfully tuning in and turning up the volume on your business and life. Today, I'm excited because I'm bringing on Gracienne Jean-Pierre, a nurse practitioner, integrative medicine consultant, and she works to beautifully unite evidence-based care with the ancient wisdom of the heart. And today I'm excited because this conversation is going to help you support the ways that you show up in your life and in your business, and really bringing together this beautiful integration of the two. We're diving into the journey from traditional medicine into holistic and heart-centered healing, where it matters to let love, compassion, surrender be your guide to help you come back from stress to balance. So Gracienne, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. You and I have been speaking about your journey, and I'm just thrilled to be able to share with the community the ways that you've been able to shift from traditional medicine towards what you would consider heart-centered healing. So would you take us back to the beginning of your journey and just share with us about how this path has led you to where you are today?
Thank you so much, Jasmine. It is a pleasure, and my heart is so open to share with you today and your audience my opportunity to open my heart space. And I'm so grateful that you open this space and invite me, and you're patient to get me here. So I'm truly, truly, truly grateful. To answer your question regarding how did I get in this path of spiritual medicine, which this is what I call it. Growing up as a child, my background is I was raised in Haiti, and spirituality and medicine intertwined always. Came to America and decided to go into nursing. And what I was seeing is that people were healing, but the healing process was not deep enough. And often enough, they were coming back with the same problem over and over again. So when I decided to really tap into this is when I ended up being really sick, where I had to really open up my heart for true healing. And as we dive into the subject today, I will share more in the process of really connecting the mind, body, and spirit in what I call spiritual medicine.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's a wonderful gift to know that there are practitioners like you that are witnessing what's happening in traditional medicine as it meets the human need, and recognizing that there are this ancient wisdom that exists in the world that perhaps can be able to support our journeys and bring us back to a place of wholeness. And I know this because, I've shared in the past that I've been in healthcare for 26 years now, 27, something like that. And traditional medicine has been my path. I thought, health, I was going to become a healthcare provider, and then the very traditional path to we'll say surgery and really using pharmaceuticals as like the main medicine. And I'm grateful that, similar to you, that I've been introduced to wisdom over the years that has exposed the possibility, and knowing that there is this other ways that we can see our own body and life experience, and recognize that our human body already has such healing power and properties. And so learning to allow those things to come through has been a really cool path for me. So I'm curious, like, you coming from traditional medicine, you actually continued. I've stayed on the administrative side instead of going heavy clinical. You went to path of clinical. And so I didn't have to necessarily experience the projections of other people in the healthcare community on my own personal journey in healthcare, because my journey stayed separate from what I did in my work life. I'm curious how that path was for you. So like, you obviously going from clinical studies, then moving towards this holistic way. What was that like to kind of like say, hey, actually, I think there's something more, there's something greater?
Yeah, going back to my first job as a nurse, I thought I was going to save the world. I started working in a big inner city hospital, Trauma One hospital, where I was working in critical care. And I would have repeat customers where patients will come in again and again with the same type of illness. And that kind of sparked something in me and saying, there is something more to healing than just taking pills. And and coming back and having blood draw done. And I remember as a child, when I would get sick, my grandmother would do some really interesting things like giving you herbal bath, taking the herbs and slapping it into your body and kind of like an infusion. And I just go back to this knowledge and I was like, there has to be more. Then I decided to go back to school to get my NP, Nurse Practitioner degree. And then there, I started to kind of investigate myself. I taken an anthropology class, and it was anthropology introducing medicine into nursing and Eastern versus Western. So my eyes got so open to see, like, not only my culture, we use those things, but China and other country like India, they were all using the same thing that my grandmother was doing, but in a different way. So fast forward, I started in oncology. And in oncology, you would have women that would come in with breast cancer. I was keeping a tab on what happened prior to them having the breast cancer. And it's always some kind of trauma or some kind of thing that happened leading to that cancer diagnosis. And what we would do, you give them chemotherapy, but nothing of the emotion and the lifestyle. All that was not mentioned. Some instant we would mention it, but it's not deep enough. So then I got curious, and I got starting to introducing my patients to different tools, the little tools that I know that could help them. I started looking into HeartMath, how to use HeartMath, which is a tool to open up the heart to regulate the nervous system. Then I start having patients coming back and telling me, what you showed me last time really worked. And then I started to implement that in my practice. Then fast forward, I got sick. I became the patient and I needed to find out. I was taking all the medication. I was getting better, but not at the speed that I needed to get better. Then I started doing some really soul searching of what was going on in my life that lead me to this event. And prior to that, I had a chance to go to Dr. Wild program in Arizona. And I was learning the same time I got sick. It's like this is a divine process. The same time I got sick, I was going through this program on how to look at the body as a whole, but not as different units. And really, that got me into the work that, yes, there is something there when we become mindful and we become connected with our heart and we connect our heart with our brain and we start like an onion unlayering the emotions and the things that happen in our life, we could get to true healing. It's a lot, but that's
No.
how to go. Yeah.
So powerful, so powerful. And I feel like, the gift, right, of our journeys being one of searching to align what we thought was healing to bring that to the world, right? Where it's like, okay, this is the path. And then you discovering that perhaps you didn't get to the heart of it all, like literally and also figuratively. It was like, okay, wait, I think I'm headed in this path. I'm working with patients. I'm learning and giving what I'm learning, but there felt like there was something missing. And if I'm understanding you correctly, right, it took the unfortunate experience of your personal journey to actually open up your eyes to what's available. I think that this has really been a gift of social media, which we aren't always talking about the gifts of social media, but to hear from other practitioners like yourself, where they have experienced a deeper way to serve their patients. And a lot of that time comes from either their own personal journey or someone close to them, right? Like a loved one or something where they're like, okay, something is not right. We're doing all the things that traditional medicine says to do, but there has to be more. And I love Dr. Wild's work. And I think there's so many missing pieces to what we think of as the ways for us to continue to heal our bodies and allow ourselves to experience wholeness, even if we aren't facing illness, right? It's like having just a better, a deeper fruitful life experience, one that feels like we are able to be present both in our conscious minds, but also in the fullness of kind of who we are emotionally, to emote the excitement and the joy that exists. Like sometimes the things that we're doing in our lifestyle are barriers, and what we're not allowing ourselves to experience from a deeper place is the barrier. And so I love that you talk about the layers of the onion, right? Peeling back the layers, because that's really what it is, right? It's like in our own experience, we start with the recognition that like there's this hard outer shell that needs to come off, that helps me first admit that like what I know to this day, I have learned up to this point, maybe not the fullness of what is going to help me get on the other side. And sometimes that can be really vulnerable, to be honest and say, you know what, like I thought I knew what was right and what was the correct path. And I'm going to admit to myself first that actually it there might not be this binary of right and wrong. There might be this place of like experiencing by trying something that other people maybe have been closed off to. And so in your path, I'm curious, like, what was your experience, like true experience with traditional medicine, as you started to kind of allow this new lens to kind of sharpen and come into focus? Like, I'm wondering, what was the most difficult part for you in allowing this real integrated medicine, what's the word? Integrated medicine truth to start to come to the surface?
Yes, yes. That's a great question, Jasmine. I remember for me personally, from a personal experience, I don't know if you know that, but I lost my vision. I couldn't see at all. And I was on tremendous amount of steroids at that time. And I remember talking to one of my colleagues, and I told her, I said, I don't know what to do anymore, because I'm taking the steroids and I'm not getting, my eyes is not getting as good as I would like it to happen. And I said, if I could be granted the ability to drive my daughter to school again, that's all I'm asking. And I would open my eyes to this world, to what is for me in this world. I just want to drive my daughter to school. And I remember my friend telling me that, because I didn't want to take the steroid anymore, because I didn't see what it was doing for me. And she told me, at this moment in time, you need to take this. You need to take the steroid. And she told me, but there are other things that you could look deeper into. I needed to surrender to healing. But how do I surrender to healing? How do I get to that path? So I started this meditation every morning, where I would literally just imagine and visualizing my heart space opening for that to happen. Visualize that I calm myself down, because I truly believe when you have that path to your heart, you are literally helping your autonomic nervous system, which is the system that is in the background, that is doing everything that we are not paying attention for, like, for example, regulating the heart rate, breathing, uh, gastric system. It's work with the autonomic nervous system. So I started this process of just focusing on my heart, connecting my heart with my brain, and projecting and visualize what I needed to happen with this steroid that I didn't want to take to really work its magic into my body. And so once I did that, it's like, because I was so constricted and so against things. So that's where the marriage between integrative medicine and allopathic medicine comes together. So because I needed this, I needed to keep my eyes. So then what happened is just the miracle of just surrendering to the process of working through my transformation, working through the emotion of losing losing my eyesight, being angry. Why does this happen to me? All that starting to escape. And then the contraction become into relaxation. And the relaxation open up my nervous system, my body, to receive what it needed to receive.
That's powerful. That is so powerful. I really appreciate you expressing the importance of the way that our bodies and our, even you mentioned the nervous system, which I have a deep love. It's absolutely important. I think more education around the powerful tool that is just being aware of how we can better tend to our nervous system. But when it comes to readying our nervous system and our body and allowing, like you said, surrender, right? Allowing the medicine, the literal medicine, but the medicine of either traditional medicine or our body's own healing powers, both to be alchemized, like brought together and allowing for that healing to take place. Like the truth of what you just expressed is sometimes I think the most difficult for people to acknowledge is that when we have such dissonance and frustration and all of these other very kind of lower vibrational emotions that we're continuing to produce just constantly over and over, because it's the reality, right? It's the reality of what we're facing in that moment. It's sad, it feels like it's out of our control and quite frustrating, and we can feel those feelings like you were just saying of kind of why me, and I'm so kind of beating myself up for things I didn't do or things I won't do or whatever it is, that I can't even allow this surrender to happen because I'm spiraling or circling the drain of all the things that have gone wrong to get me to this place. And so it's not an easy path, right? It does take effort, right? But it is one that's worth it when we get ourselves to that place of true surrender and allowing. So I'm curious, who kind of inspired you to this understanding that this is possible? Is this something that did come from some a specific teacher, or by your own personal kind of meditative, intuitive knowing? Like tell me a little bit about that path for you.
I think, I mentioned my grandmother throughout this, throughout our time here together so far. My grandmother was a very spiritual person, very hands-on when it comes to healing. And I grew up having her, like in the summer, I would visit her and I would be curious about what she's using, what she's rolling, what kind of concoction she's putting together. And she would also, like in the morning, always just go in the sun and kind of look at the sun and just doing certain things. And I got very curious and what she was doing. So I learned from her. That was my curiosity, opened up my curiosity. Then afterward, my mother also does a lot of stuff with herbs and different things. And so for me, I had always had this gift like of just literally that feeling, that emotion, that intense feeling when things are happening or things gonna happen. It's like it's always passing through me. I could feel it. Even before I got sick, I knew that I was gonna get sick. I was doing things to getting knowledge and thinking that it was for my patients, but really it was for me. So to answer that question is I think it's like it's either the seed was planted by my grandmother, the seed was watered by my mom and turned over the soil, and the growing of it is the exposure to different things that I come across. Taking that anthropology class, just doing my own research, going to Dr. program and being introduced to a shaman. All those things kind of, I think, create this potpourri of knowledge and intuition and curiosity that got me to this path, that knowing that to really have true healing, your body need to be in a receiving process. And the key to that receiving process is your heart. You have to open your heart for your body to receive.
That's so great. You mentioned earlier about HeartMath and have spoken a lot about the intelligence of the heart. I know it sounds beautiful and poetic, but let's talk about the physiological pieces of that and like really help people understand like how the heart is this powerhouse for the rest of the body and the brain and allows kind of the essence of healing to happen. Would you mind speaking a little bit more about that as well?
Yes, sure. So we all know the heart. The heart is not just an organ. It has this metaphysical, spiritual energy attached to it. So when we look at the heart and the autonomic system and all that is connected. The heart, most people think it is the brain that is telling the heart what to do. But no, it's the heart that's telling the brain what to do. And then the brain tell your gut how to react. And the gut is like connected to so many pieces to the brain. Sometimes we talk in the metaphysical world that you have three different brains, the heart, regular brain, and the gut. So when the heart is sending signal to the brain, and those electrical signal make the brain do what it needs to do. So if your heart is open from an energical standpoint, and your heart is open and you are able to process things. So the question is, how do I get my heart open? So it's a process. Forgiveness, faith, hope. I think those play a much needed path to opening up the heart. And when you open your heart to forgiveness of not only yourself but others, you create that path to true healing. When you create that path for your brain and your heart to connect, and when your brain and your heart is synchronizing, then the body autonomic nervous system, which is the system that controls the things that happen automatically, you are able to balance and relax better, and you're able to receive more, just to keep it simple.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I think I love the work of folks like Dr. Joe Dispenza and like HeartMath Institute, where they talk about this idea of heart coherence and using things like meditation to support this process. So can you speak a little bit about that? Like, what's the recommendation for someone who's like brand new to this world and are like, okay, I want my heart to be open. I want to be able to receive the medicine of whatever it is, right? The medicine of experiencing love and experiencing joy, or actual healing from an illness, or working through a difficult challenge, or processing grief. Like, all of those things can be supported with this process. But would you help share a little bit of wisdom for people who are like brand new to it? Like, what is it that you would suggest, and how can they just begin this process of opening up their heart?
That's a great question. So it is, I think sometimes we make things difficult where they're not difficult, but simply starting a gratitude practice, just waking up, writing your gratitude. What are you grateful for? It open up space for positivity for your heart to open. And breathing. That's another process. Just focusing on the heart, and by putting your hand over your heart and just taking a nice breath in and out for a few times will start to the process of you getting used to the feeling after you take a few deep breaths, how your body respond to that process. Then you will start the process of saying, wow, this is really good stuff. Because breathing and connecting with your heart through breathing open up that autonomic nervous system. It make you become present. Once you present in your body, you could start opening your heart. So those two practices, focusing on your heart, breathe in just a few when you wake up in the morning, and practicing gratitude, taking a journal, saying what are you grateful for, just having a roof over your head, having light, water, just simple little thing will start you on that path to that opening that you need.
I love the simplicity of that. I think that, like you said, we can spend too much time trying to find the perfect fix, or trying to do this big process of like the deep dive. Like, I've got to go in and I need to spend the next 6 months. And, it's like, no, you really can just with small little tweaks, start the process and allow for it to unfold as you need, as necessary. One of my favorite tools for this, I speak about it a lot because it was a catalyst for me. I used to be a big journaler when I was a kid. I was, diary, dear diary, that And then as I got older and life got busier and more hectic and more stressful, and I dysregulated for sure in my adult years, it got very clear that what I needed to come back to was something that really held me was with journaling, but I struggled with it. I struggled with the idea of even writing down, like you talked about, the three things, taking, for me, the brain slowing down because of my neuro spiciness, right? I've got my ADHD and anxiety paired, it can really become a challenge for me to do things like sitting down and writing when I'm in a very dysregulated state. So at that time, it was like, okay, I need to do something. I feel called to journal, but I can't. But what I found was this tool called the 5 minute journal. And it's really,
Mm.
really short and sweet, that one page. And it's very, we'll say, restrictive lines, like very, very short lines to write what you're grateful for. It also allows you to really reflect on the things that you want to accomplish in a day. So it gives you just a little space for what would make today great, is the question. So it's not like what's your goals. It's like it
Mhm.
keeps it more in the heart, the feeling of what would feel really great for today. And that just small little space, like it's a page. Top part is the morning, other part is the evening. The journal itself is really small, and that helped me to slow it down. It helped me to say, okay, I have a practice of writing down gratitude. And I was already doing some very light meditation and breath work, because at that time it took me a
Yeah.
lot to even sit for more than 5 minutes without feeling like I was, constantly kind of chasing thoughts and even feelings at that moment. And and that was really the seed, right? This, exactly to your point, is like enough of those practices done over time, and you start to notice things about yourself, and that noticing, I think, becomes the catalyst. It's like, oh, I feel so held and healed by just having spent a couple of moments in the morning. And sometimes I would do the evening, sometimes not. It just depended on my day. But just having those moments as a part of my day made such a huge difference in how I showed up for myself and the people around me. And because that felt so nourishing, that is the place where it continued to grow. So now I'm like, if I don't journal for like 20, 30 minutes every day, I'm like, I feel very, like I've missed my friend. I need to have that conversation with myself. And I'm sitting for like an hour long meditation most days. But it started with such baby steps, and that was over
Mm.
a long period of time. And I just think, to your point, like starting with something super duper small, and whether it's a
Mhm.
5 minute journal or something like it, I have another, oh, I'm going to draw a blank. There's other apps like this, but there are apps out there that, oh, it's called
Mhm.
Happy Feed. Happy
Okay.
Feed. I have a friend turned me on to this app. It's a gratitude based app. I like it because it kind of gives you a feeling of as if you were on social media, but the social media feels way more nourishing, right? It's like, I'm going to post a picture, or I'm going to
Mhm.
post a comment or like a message or whatever that just shares gratitude. And I have an opportunity to invite people into my pod. So it could be friends. And now we're just sharing gratitude and celebrating each other. It just changes the typical social media feed into something more
Mhm.
positive.
Mhm.
So Happy Feed has been a really cool app to play with, especially in small groups of friends where you're like, we want to stay connected to each other's lives, and using gratitude instead of like the typical social media world feels more nourishing for sure.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way, Jasmine, to really looking into you know, the steps that you describe. It's like everything happened through steps and transform. That's when transformation happened. When you take the time to do the little steps, then you get used to it. Then you could add more. You could look into more things, and so that's a great example of really trusting the process that will happen, and then continue doing what you need to do.
Right. Just continuing it. Even if at the beginning you're like, this doesn't feel like it's doing anything.
I know. It's really, but I think it's just the one thing about breathing and focusing on the heart, you could literally if you are a dysregulated person and you're dealing with the anxieties, all those stuff, you will feel it. I promise you that if you give yourself the gift of one breath and focusing on your heart and continue doing another, you will feel it.
Oh, yeah. I agree. I think that the allowing yourself to witness yourself in this process, even if it's just the 5 minutes a day, noticing the difference in how you feel, how your interactions are, even if it doesn't last for the whole day, notice
Mhm.
how that the first part of your day, it just feels different. And then what I think is that you get so kind of held by that feeling that you're like, "Oh, I
Mhm.
need more of that. What do I need to do to continue?"
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So I love
You
that.
feel held. I like that. That's really beautiful. It really is, because when you think about when you're focusing on your breath, that breath is holding you up. It's really every morning it welcome you into this world and hold you up. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
beautiful.
So you know what I really appreciate is that we both coming from this world that is more traditional corporate style, and then having this world that is the spiritual, what I'm going to say, the woo woo, and like
Yeah.
trying to what I would think of as destigmatizing the woo woo and allowing people to like let science catch up with what has already been there with ancient medicine, right? There already has been this really beautiful path for so many incredible healers that have been here way before traditional medicine came up with its, special pills with all the side effects and things. But there's a lot of wisdom that I see happening in traditional medicine, meeting this ancient wisdom and letting it come together. I'm curious, like, what has it been for you to help to kind of start to walk through this process of like destigmatizing what people's mindsets are around the woo woo? Because sometimes at least it's been in my experience, in our conversations with people who are very focused on this I would say, rigid is really the word I would say, rigid around their belief with traditional medicine being the only way. How do you kind of try to soften that rigidity and just allow them to potentially see that there is wisdom in this, and you don't have to be this sage walking around with all white and all these things in order to experience that? So what is something that works for you in these conversations?
I think is for me number one is meeting people where they at. I do not have to change their mind in one talk or one session or one podcast, but like the work you're doing, you are infusing it into your audience or people that are curious. And what I do is that right now there's so much evidence when it comes to like the whole heart connection. I'm talking about heart and energy and all that. There's so much research. HeartMath just released one research about how doing HeartMath, practicing HeartMath, has for an older adult, is helping with their cognitive abilities. Adult that are like having dementia and Alzheimer's. So there's right now there's the part that there are the research is there. Then there's the other part that you know that some people might not be willing to go there. But one thing is that it's to give them the facts. For example, when I said the heart has energy, yes, the heart is electrical. If you put an EKG, which is a machine to kind of see the heart rate and the way the heart, you will see it. It's electrical. So then if the person say, okay, yes, I know it's electrical, then it's connected. How does the cells from the heart and the brain talk to each other? So then we start getting into like the quantum physics things and the non-local, which is your cells on your heart are connected with each other because they are sharing the same magnetic field. They could communicate with each other. I mean, there are research, there are much better things that are coming out. A lot of people now are into the frequencies, the energy. I give simple example. For example, when I walk into a room and there's a heavy energy in the room, you will feel that yourself, you change when you walk in that room. You feel it. You don't have to be very intuitive, but as long as you're paying attention to the space when you walk in, you will feel it. So I would give little example like that because everyone in their life experience when you walk into a space and you're like, oops, you know,
We're like, something just happened here. I don't know. Yeah.
but I'm feeling something. But it is energy. It's the transfer of energy. You walk into that the electromagnetic field of that person, that area, that room, the things that's going on in the room. So I keep it very simple, to be honest. I keep it simple. I use very relatable example that people could feel, see, touch, or taste. Like when you when you're eating a fruit, like let's say a strawberry, you're not even there with the strawberry yet, and your mouth's starting to water like crazy. You're already having a in relationship with that food. And when that food gets into your body, it goes into your cells. How do you think that it's nourished the cells? So just simple example to
That's
make it fun and intuitive to people.
exactly. And I love that you mentioned this too, because I think a lot of people have this feeling that they have to kind of be evolved and or some sort of kind of elevated experience where for them to have these moments where they can connect with the ways that our bodies are preparing for food, the ways that our bodies are going to use this nourishment for things that we don't even know or understand is happening within, right? It's like you can actually notice it by your body just preparing to have the meal, right? It's like that amazing mouth-watering moment where you're just even thinking about it and you're like, that sounds, even you talking about the strawberries, like, oh, I haven't had a good strawberry in a while. So I really appreciate this. So like, what is it that you are doing in the world now? Will you walk us through like how what you have learned you're using in the world to this day, and how that shows up for you in practice?
Wow, that's a great question. I tell you, I've been through the process. I've been to the um I have the experience of what it is to really trust and being present within your body. Like our colleague said, Dr. Elizabeth, the medicine is within you. So currently, after this whole process of dealing with this rare condition, rare immune condition, losing my vision and all that, I have a marriage of a practice. So my practice right now focus on helping people awake the energy within. So I have a program said that's called uh, Awaken Your Inner Power, which is really using your heart to really infuse your body to heal. So I offer a free session where I walk through the person through the process of having a heart practice, living a heart open lifestyle so you could heal. Because one thing when someone is dealing with a chronic condition, there's a lot of pieces to that chronic condition. There's lifestyle, there's childhood stuff that happened in the past that you had no control over. You have your environment. So there's so many pieces that need to be addressed. So having someone to really help you to find that, awaken that inner power is essential. And this past week, I one of my mentor was talking to me about how in the world of people with vision loss, that it is very difficult for them to go, because when you lost your vision, you go through a loss, you go through the phases of loss. And so I've been looking into how can I help this type of population, because I still haven't had my vision 100% as yet, but I could do a lot of stuff. I'm hoping to open another program where I focus really on dedicating that space to help people with vision loss to incorporate the open heart lifestyle to really rewire their brain to deal with their new reality, because it's truly a challenge when you lost your vision.
I
Yeah.
can imagine. I really can imagine. I think that's wonderful that you would think about people who, like yourself, have experienced a sudden loss or something that was completely unexpected, that you said already, with that feeling of grief that can be very consuming, and also will say take you down a path that can bring you away from all the things we're talking about now, right? Where we can get so stuck in that sense of grief and loss that we lose sight of all of what's remaining, the beauty of our lives and the opportunity for us to continue living and feeling wholeness even in the midst of loss. And so I can just really honor that you're spending the time and using your gifts to help nourish the people and support the people that have experienced what you've experienced. I think that's wonderful. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So
Thank
when you
you.
talk about the inner power, I want to just shift back to that for a moment. Who is that for? The inner power, like when you think about who your ideal client is,
Mhm.
or yeah.
That's a very, my focus is on women who are dealing with a condition that for example, you have to live with it for the rest of your life. So at times, specifically the autoimmune population, there's a lot of autoimmune conditions that are out there: diabetes, lupus, thyroid disorders. So when a person is dealing with such chronic condition, it doesn't only affect your body, it affects how you are in society, with your family, with everything in your life is affected. So finding that power within to really start living again with having this chronic condition, it's a gift and it's a step process. So I focus on this population to really help them hone in on what they want. Yes, I have this condition, but there is a way to live with the condition or even heal yourself. But you have to know the path on how to get there.
And that's the work you do with them.
Yeah.
Is this work that you do virtually or in person? Like, tell us a little bit more about how people can connect
So
with you.
most of my work is done virtually. So I really focus on the nervous system for the body to heal. Let's say you have a person that is suffering from, I take my an autoimmune condition like lupus, and you are extremely having problem with really accepting not only the disease process, but also how the disease process is affecting your body. So I truly believe that every disease condition has something energical around it. So we work through the process of finding where is those blocks are. Is it nutrition? Is it mindset or regulating the nervous system so the body could receive that nutrition? Is it working on your environment? So it's helping people identify what is the weakest link in their journey to heal their body.
That's good. I love that you have the flexibility to serve people virtually. I talk a lot about accessibility, and it's not just obviously geographical challenges, but also as we're talking about folks that are faced with illness, it can be a big challenge to even just get out of the bed and get where you need to go in a day. And so I think it's really wonderful that you have thought to bring this wisdom and this support virtually, because it just makes it that much more easeful for people to say yes and really integrate it into what their lifestyle is in the moment, right? We can be like, what's in your kitchen? Like, let's talk about the, let's talk about the food in the kitchen. And yeah, it's like, let me look in my kitchen to remember instead of, trying to recall it. So it is a gift, I think, to have these more accessible ways of interacting with our clients. And I'm grateful for it, as much as I know the pandemic was the big catalyst to push us in this direction. But I think it's been a really beautiful gift. It's probably one of the few gifts that we have post pandemic. And so thank you for continuing to lean into sharing your gifts virtually.
Oh, thank you so much. I think it's also helped me. It really helped me in the beginning because I was doing both virtual and in person. And when I lost my vision, I couldn't drive to the office. So I needed to still feel like I'm belong and I'm doing things. So having that gift of being able to help people, it's a win-win situation. It's really helped me fulfill what I need to, where and my purpose in this world.
So beautiful. I am curious, how do you see the collective healing when people really work through healing themselves? So we're talking a lot about like using this heart math, right? Using the wisdom of our hearts to allow ourselves to heal. But how do you feel like that might impact the collective, meaning the broader world?
Well, this is a really great question. So we are connected by our electromagnetic field. So when I spend time with you and I have an open heart and my heart is open to forgiveness, kindness, compassion, and love, and I'm radiating those emotions, those high emotion, those high vibration, I'm able to spill it into you, and then you spill it into somebody else. And I think that type of work, what it does for the collective is that we are all one. So as being one, we are able, once we do the work ourselves, we are able to open a space for other people to do it. Because I could see it in my own world as I'm doing my work to open my heart for healing, for love, for compassion, for kindness. When I out, it radiate out. I could change the space that I'm in. So that's how I think the collective will change.
Thank you for that share. That's beautiful. And I love this word radiate. It's one of my current favorite words. It's an event too that we put on now called Radiate for that reason, because I do believe there's so much power in you think about the radiance of the sun and how nourishing and powerful it can be and what it provides, right? In so many different ways for us and nature as a whole, and recognizing that kind of shared necessary nourishment, right?
Mhm.
And that same thing is true. Like this, it's like if we allow this to come, it's like this essence and this shared humanity that we all have, and recognizing that, like, when I allow myself to be the fullness of who I am, like you mentioned, it's like those beautiful ripples of permission that we give to other people. And it's in that witnessing us take this journey and allow ourselves to truly radiate. People look and they're like, wow, something's different. I don't know what it is, but I need to know and I need to learn and I want to experience that myself. And it becomes this
Mhm.
beautiful model for the human potential. That's what I want.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, truly, indeed, it is. It is such a beautiful thing when you are able to step into a space and you are the light and then you light up the room.
indeed.
It's just
Indeed.
beautiful.
So I have a couple of questions, closing questions that I like to ask and offer. First, I want to ask you is how do people get connected with you? That's the first question. If they want to know a little bit more about the work that you do, and potentially you mentioned about complimentary, like a free session that you offer. Will you share a little bit about that as well, while people can know how to stay connected with you?
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that opportunity. I do have a website, which is www.jphealthandwellness.com. But quickest way to do it is talk with Gracienne. Gracienne is spelled GRACIENNE.com. That would take you straight to my scheduling, and then you could schedule a session. Just get to know you session. There's no commitment to it, for us to kind of get to know each other. And also for me to give you some tools that may be of service to you. So those are and I'm on all the social media, JP Health and Wellness. That's the name of the business. And I'll be happy to connect and happy to really share my belief in my work with you guys. It would be a pleasure.
So I have one final sign off question that I like to ask all of my guests is if you have one message that you could amplify to the world, you would want them all to hear this one message, what would it be?
Let love create magic for you through your heart.
Let love create magic for you through your heart. That's good. So good. Thank you so much for being here, Gracienne. It's been a pleasure
Thank you.
to share with you in space.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and it's been wonderful time being in this container with you today. Thank you so much. Thank you for your work also, Jasmine.
Thank
Thank
you. Bye bye now.
you. Mhm.